My idea of creating a fake detour was as romantic and unrealistic as the idea of jumping out of my old Buick and spraying the three of them with bullets. Me, who'd not even fired a gun since the age of 16 and who had never fired a handgun. Such a thing would not be possible without a band of conspirators anyway. Even the movie I had seen, romantic as it had made that clear. There had been 8 or 9 of them in 2 separate groups, staying in touch with each other by walkie-talkie. There had even been a man in a small plane cruising above the highway to make sure the armored car was relatively isolated as it approached the right spot on the highway. A plot no doubt dreamed up by some overweight screenwriter sitting by a swimming pool with a pina colada in one hand and a fresh supply of pencil pens and an Edgar Wallace plot wheel by the other. And even that fellow had needed a small army to fulfill his idea. I was only one man. It wouldn't work. It was just a momentary false gleam, like the others I'd had over the years. The idea that maybe I could put some sort of poison gas in Dolan's air conditioning system, or plant a bomb in the Los Angeles house, or even obtain some really deadly weapon, a bazooka, let us say, and turn his damn silver Cadillac into a fireball as it raced east towards Vegas or west toward L.A. along 71. Best to dismiss it. But it wouldn't go. Cut him out. The voice inside that spoke for Elizabeth kept whispering. Cut him out the way an experienced sheepdog cuts a ewe from the flock when his master points. Detour him out in the emptiness and kill him. Kill them all. Wouldn't work. If I allowed no other truth, I would at least have to allow that a man who had stayed alive long as Dolan has must have a carefully honed sense of survival. Honed to the point of paranoia, maybe. He and his men would see through the detour trick in a minute. They turned down this one today, the voice that spoke for Elizabeth responded. They never even hesitated. They went just like Mary's little lamb. But I knew, yes, somehow I did, that men like Dolan, men who are really more like wolves than men, develop a sort of sixth sense when it comes to danger. I could steal genuine detour signs from some road department shed and set them up in all the right places. I could add fluorescent orange road cones and a few of those smudge pots. I could do all that, and Dolan would still smell the nervous sweat of my hands on the stage dressing. Right through his bulletproof window he would smell it. He would close his eyes and hear Elizabeth's name far back in the snake pit that passed from his mind. That voice that spoke for Elizabeth fell silent, and I thought it had finally given up for the day. And then, with Vegas actually in my sight, blue and misty and wavering in the far rim of the desert, it spoke again. Then don't try to fool him with a fake detour, it whispered. Fool him with a real one. I swerved the Buick over to the shoulder and shuddered to a stop with both feet on the brake pedal. I stared into my own wide, startled eyes in the rearview mirror. Inside, the voice that spoke for Elizabeth began to laugh. It was wild, mad laughter. But after a few moments, I began to laugh along with it. The other teachers laughed at me when I joined the 9th Street Health Club. One of them wanted to know if someone had kicked sand in my face. I laughed right along with them. People don't get suspicious of a man like me as long as he keeps laughing along with them. And why shouldn't I laugh, right? My wife has been dead 7 years, hadn't she? Why, she was no more than dust and a hair and a few bones in her coffin, so why shouldn't I laugh? It's only when a man like me stops laughing that people wonder if something is wrong. I laughed all along with them, even though my muscles ached all that fall and winter. I laughed even though I was constantly hungry. No more second helpings. No more late-night snacks, no more beer, no more before-dinner gin and tonics, but lots of red meat and greens, greens, greens. I bought myself a Nautilus machine for Christmas. No, that's not quite right. Elizabeth bought me a Nautilus machine for Christmas. I saw Dolan less frequently. I was too busy working out, losing my potbelly, building up my arms and chest and legs. But there were times when it seemed I could not go on with it, that recapturing anything like physical fitness was going to be impossible, that I could not live without a second helping and pieces of coffee cake and the occasional dollop of sweet cream on my coffee. When those times came, I would park across from one of his favorite restaurants or perhaps go into one of the clubs he favored and wait for him to show up, stepping from the fog-gray Cadillac with an arrogant blonde or a laughing redhead on his arm, or one of each. There he would be, the man who had killed my Elizabeth. There he would be, resplendent in a formal shirt from Bijan's, his gold Rolex winking in the nightclub lights. When I was tired and discouraged, I went to Dolan as a man with a raging thirst might seek out an oasis in the desert. I drank his poisoned water, and was refreshed. In February, I began to run every day, and then the other teachers laughed at my bald head, which peeled and pinked and then peeled and pinked again no matter how much sunblock I smeared on it. I laughed right along with them, as if I had not twice nearly fainted and spent long shuddering minutes with cramps stabbing the muscles of my legs and at the end of my runs. When the summer came, I applied for a job with the Nevada Highway Department. The Municipal Employment Office stamped a tentative approval on my form and sent me along to a district foreman named Harvey Blocker. Harvey was a tall man, burned almost black by the Nevada sun. He wore jeans, dusty work boots, and a blue t-shirt with cut-off sleeves that said "Bad Attitude." His muscles were big rolling slabs under his skin. He looked at my application. Then he looked up at me and laughed. The application looked very puny rolled up in one of his huge fists. "You've got to be kidding me, my friend. I mean, you have got to be. We talking desert sun and desert heat here. None of your yuppie tanning salon shit. What are you in real life, Bubba? An accountant?" "A teacher," I said. "3rd grade." "Oh, honey," he said, and laughed again. "Get out of my face, okay?" I had a pocket watch, handed down by my great-grandfather, who had worked on the last leg of the Grand Transcontinental Railroad. He was there, according to family legend, when they hammered home the golden spike. I took the watch out and dangled it in Blocker's face on its chain. "See this?" I said. "Worth $600, maybe $700. "This a bribe?" Blocker laughed again. A great old laugher he was. "Man, I heard of people making deals with the devil, but you're the first one I've ever heard to want to bribe himself into hell." Now he looked at me with something like compassion. "You may think you understand what you're trying to get yourself into, but I'm here to tell you don't have the slightest idea. In July, I've seen it go to 117 degrees out there in West Indian Springs. It makes strong men cry. And you ain't strong, Bubba. I don't have to see you with your shirt off to know you ain't got nothing on your rack but a few yuppie health club muscles. And they won't cut it out in the big empty." I said, "The day you decide I can't cut it, I'll walk off the job. You keep the watch. No argument. You're a fucking liar." I looked at him, and he looked back for some time. "You're not a fucking liar." He said this in tones of amazement. "No." "You give the watch to Tinker to hold?" He cocked his thumb at the humongous black man in tie-dyed shirt who was sitting nearby in the cab of a bulldozer, eating a fruit pie from McDonald's and listening. "Is he trustworthy?" "You're damn tootin'." "And he can hold it until you tell me to take a hike or until I have to go back to school in September." "And what do I put up?" I pointed at the employment application in his fist. "Sign that," I said. "That's what you put up." "You're crazy." I thought of Dolan and of Elizabeth and said nothing. "You'd start on shit work," Blocker warned, "shoveling hot patch out of the back of a truck into potholes. Not because I want your damn watch, although I'd be more than happy to take it, but because that's where everyone starts." "All right. As long as you understand, Bubba." "I do." "No," Blocker said. "You don't. But you will." And he was right.